Okay, so here is this question. How important is healthy communication in a relationship? And what is a good model of what good communication looks like? Let me read it again. How important is healthy communication in a relationship? And what is a good model of what good communication looks like? So this question, as you would realize, is about communication. And communication is very important in any relationship. Anything you're doing, you must be able to communicate effectively if you have to succeed. The people who built the tower at Babel, they were communicating well. That's why they were succeeding. And that is why God touched that area to stop the process, because if they had continued with good communication and effective communication among themselves, they would have arrived at a place where they were satisfied. But God stopped it by causing them to, be confused one with another, not able to speak the language of each other. So communication in a relationship is very important at all stages, before and after, well, before and during, throughout married life. Very, very important, communication. So I'll go through this first question and get your thoughts together. Then I'll pause. I'll take any questions and comments. And if we have time, then we'll move to the second one, right? Okay, so we are all social beings. We know that God made us to relate one to another, not to be in a world by ourselves, but to relate one to another. Naturally, there is a desire within us to talk to other people. As I always say, if you are on an island by yourself and you are there for 2 years, and all of a sudden, you didn't see anybody else, just you alone, and someday you just saw another human on the island, you will want to go and talk with them and find out, what are you doing here? How did you arrive here? And build some kind of connection or relationship with them. That's because we are social beings. We like to be with each other. We like to share with each other. And so we are social beings, and there's a natural tendency to draw close to each other. So how important is healthy communication in a relationship? Okay. One, it removes loneliness and it increases happiness. God says, man should not be alone. Communication removes loneliness. It causes you to have somebody to bounce off something on. You're not all by yourself lost. And that degree of happiness that you need, then you're talking to people and you're laughing and sharing stuff, that increases your level of happiness. It builds self-worth through a sense of belonging. People like to feel that they belong to something. They belong to a group. They belong to a team. They belong to something, a family. And so your self-worth is built up when you realize and you have come to a place of seeing that you are part of something. You're part of a group. You can talk to somebody. You can call somebody on the phone. You can just relate to somebody. It builds that self-worth. And as a sense of being accepted. Human beings like to feel accepted. One of the greatest challenges we have in life as a human is to feel rejected. Humans don't do well with rejection at all. There is a sense of wanting to feel that we are part of a team. If everybody is talking and laughing and you appear and everybody just leaves and walk away, that will crush you, because it strikes at your ego and your self-worth. And so communication builds self-worth through a sense of belonging and being accepted. It allows you to learn new things, because as you talk to people, you would learn new things from them. They have a different perspective of life, a different experience, and so they can share that. And so it helps you to learn new things, which now builds confidence. The more you know is the more confident you are in life. You stand and you feel a sense of empowerment because you know stuff. And you don't know stuff, you are intimidated. You don't want to talk because you may say stupidness in your mind. You don't want to come among people, especially people you see as more intelligent than you are. But the more you learn things, the more confident you become when you stand to speak. You have a wealth of knowledge that you draw from and speak forth from that wealth of knowledge. It teaches us humility. Humility. Why? Because you have to listen. You have to stop talking sometimes and listen. It's a hard thing. Sometimes people want to dominate the conversation. They just want to talk all the time and say everything. But communication, healthy communication teaches us to be humble and to listen to the views of others. And that would help communication to go forward. If you are willing to listen, if you want to talk and dominate the conversation, people wouldn't want to talk with you because it's like, okay, well, give me a chance to say something. So communication helps to build humility or to create humility within us. It helps to reduce stress. Sometimes you're stressed out and you just want someone to talk to, just to unburden yourself of that weight that you're carrying. And so it helps to reduce stress. It builds one's ability to express themselves better. You can express yourself better as you speak to persons, as you relate. You realize that you are improving. You see that incremental move towards becoming more proficient in how you speak. It builds friendship and it builds trust. And so this is how friendships are built, by people talking to each other, not just being with each other, but talking to each other, sharing ideas, thoughts, feelings, and so on. And it allows misunderstanding, hurts, or painful situations to be addressed. Misunderstandings, hurts, or painful situations to be addressed. This is where you address situations in communication. Things that you are hurting about over misunderstandings, you can talk it out. All right. So this is why communication is healthy. This is healthy communication. Good. Okay, so let me go quickly to a good model of what good communication looks like. So we're talking about good communication. Listening attentively to your partner when they are speaking. I want you to listen to these words carefully. Listening attentively, not listening and yes, I hear you, I hear you. No, not listening and you looking through your phone for something, whatever you're looking for. That is disrespectful, highly disrespectful. If you're talking to someone, you all are having a time of conversing one with another, you cannot be on your phone. It's disrespectful. You gotta put it down and let the conversation go on. So you have to be attentive. That's the only way you'll be able to hear and understand what they're saying. And not only hear, but be able to read body language too, because as they speak, there are certain mannerisms and certain things that you will see, and you'll be able to get the picture better. So listening attentively is important. Good communication involves expressing appreciation and support. So we are taking it from the point of view that this is a relationship going on, right? We are in a relationship. In a relationship, whether you are now starting, whether you are engaged, whether you are married, expressing appreciation and support for that person that you are in the relationship with, that goes a long way. It doesn't have to be an occasion. Just take the moment and express appreciation for what they have done, for what they have said, for who they are. That helps a relationship to go forward. Don't be the person who is quick to condemn and attack, but be quick to appreciate. Be quick to praise. And praise could be done openly and should be done openly at times. Now, there are some husbands who don't do too well in this area with their wives. They don't praise their wife in public. As a matter of fact, the relationship probably is so strained that praise don't even exist, whether it's home in private or in a public space. And so it's good to openly praise each other, not to boast. I'm not talking about boasting as though you want to make your wife out to be better than everybody else's wife, but to praise them, to let people know that this woman that I've married, this man that I've married is a good man, it's a good woman. If you're in a relationship before marriage, engaged, you can say, I'm thankful that God gave me a good person in my life. So openly praising is important. I want you to hear me carefully, because these things have to be built. These are not just points or notes to take. These things have to be built in a relationship if you have to experience success. Good communication involves keeping the atmosphere light, not tight, light. You have to do that. You have to ensure that this atmosphere is free from tension. There are certain things you don't say because it will trigger tension. There are certain things you don't do because it will trigger tension. There are certain things you have to hear and don't hear. Just leave it alone, walk away from it because it will trigger tension. You deal with that another time. So keep the atmosphere light. Don't have things too stiff and starched. Manage that process, and that will be good communication. One of the things that I normally recommend is that people in a relationship take mental notes of things that they have seen, heard, and experienced throughout the day, and save it for later when you meet your partner to talk about it. Why is this important? Because some people, I don't know, they meet up with each other at the end of the day and they have nothing to say. They have nothing to say to each other. They just sit down there staring, one staring left, one staring right, and nothing to say. Well, if you take mental notes of things that you have seen, things you've heard and experienced throughout the day, it becomes very easy. When you come and you meet with each other, that conversation can just flow. And what are these things? Sometimes it's not anything too much, Sometimes it could be just somebody standing by the side of the road looking a little lost and helpless, and your heart was filled with passion. I wanted to help them, but I was in traffic, and that is good. So it don't want to be no big major topic about politics and geopolitics, and we don't have to even go there. Simple things helps to keep communication alive. This is what you're after. You want to keep communication alive. So you look for things that you can speak into that helps propel that thing forward. All right? Talk about things even if they seem insignificant to you. That is small thing. Yes, it is, but it is important because you are talking and you are building something, knitting your hearts with the other person. And so it may not be anything much, but you have to understand why you're doing it. And so engage in that kind of communication, things that may seem insignificant. Well, if you are married, it's good to eat together. It's good to watch television together. It's good to go out together. Now, I want you to observe the word together in all three cases that I mentioned. Because what we have today in homes is one person take their food and they go on in front of the television. And next one take their food and they go on in some other room. And that's how things go. And the children take their own and they go on somewhere. It's good to eat together. If you even know if you are engaged, it is good from time to time to take out the lady. If there are any guys who are engaged, planning to get engaged, hear me. It's good from time to time, take the lady out and just have a meal together. It builds fellowship. It builds a joining of hearts. So take the time and sit and eat. I don't know why people just rush off in one direction, another direction. You're destroying a relationship when you do things like that. You have to bring building blocks inside of your relationship. And these things I'm giving you this evening, these are building blocks. Eating together. Well, you know, when there's bad living and fallout take place and argument and fight, you know, people don't like to be close to each other. It's the tension is too thick. And so, you know, they may say, Pastor, eat together. No, I can't do that because something is preventing it. So clearly we have work to do. You have to deal with that and make sure that that is taken care of so that you can sit close and have a meal with your significant other, your spouse, your partner. When speaking or when spending time together, well, I mentioned that earlier on, properly manage the use of the phone. If you get a phone call in the midst of a healthy conversation between you and your partner, and somebody call, and the call doesn't really mean anything much at the point in time, it's not no major issue. You need to respect the time that you're spending with your partner. That is not the time to take that call. It's not urgent, it's not emergency, it's not pressing, it's just nonsense talk, small talk. Well, let the person know, hey, listen, I'm gonna call you back. All right, I'm here with my husband, my wife, my whoever, and we're having a nice healthy conversation. This is our time. I'll call you back. You didn't even want to give all the explanation. You could simply say, I'll call you back. That is sufficient. So you have to manage that. You don't cut into your time to take some call about something, some dress I saw, some shoe, some trip you're going on, and go on your trip. You know, we'll talk about that later. So keep that in mind because you see, this phone is doing serious damage to relationships. People are not managing it well. And it's doing serious damage to relationships. So you got to manage that properly. You want to share your likes. You want to share your dislikes. You want to share your dreams. You want to share your visions. So as you enter into a relationship, and I was talking lastly about things that sometimes people talk, just empty talk. Talk about your dreams. Talk about things you like. Talk about the things that you don't like. Share these things. These things are important because it causes you to know the person better that you are getting into a relationship with. All right? So what are your dreams? What are your visions? What are the things that you're dreaming about, you're thinking, you have in mind, you want to achieve? Talk about these things. See if they correspond to your partner and try to build that. It helps later on because you could have your dream that is heading west and your partner have a dream that is heading east and you never share it. And then when you come together to talk about the matter now, you realize both of you all are polarized. One heading one direction, one the next. So share these things. You're in a relationship. Don't just, I'll meet a girl, I'll meet a guy and you start a relationship and all you want to say, I love you, I was thinking about you. And yes, that is okay, but you don't make that the all in all in your conversation. talk other things, talk about your preferences, talk about how you were trained and how your upbringing, talk things like these, dreams and things that you have in your heart that you want to fulfill. Now, some details about your past helps the other person to understand you better. All right? Some details, I'm carefully using my words, causes your partner to understand you better. But certain matters of your past which can adversely affect the relationship, you don't need to share that. So really, there are things you don't have to talk about. There's some people say, well, once you're married to somebody, you have to tell them everything. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. There are things in your past that are in your past. There are things you've said, you've done, you've gone wherever, whatever you've done. And God dealt with that, you dealt with that, and it's not in any way affecting your marriage, your family, or anybody. That is God. God don't even raise it. So what are you going to raise it for? When God deal with your past, he throw that in the sea of forgetfulness, as we say, and that's the end of that. So what are you going to dig that up for? So there are certain things you don't have to tell your partner. You did it, you went, you said whatever it is, and that is that. That is gone. You go and say certain things and you dig up a hornet's nest, you end up in serious problems. You create a certain amount of distrust, tension, stress inside the relationship that you didn't have to. So make your choices very carefully where matters of your past is concerned. Just remember that God dealt with you. He cleaned up your heart. He fixed your life. He don't remind you. So you don't have to remind yourself or tell anybody about that. Right. This one has to do with correction. You need to decide whether correcting your partner should be done every time an offense occurs, or whether you will wait to see if it is a pattern that is being formed before you speak. Two things here, right? You want to see if a pattern is being formed. And if you see it's a pattern, you say, okay, I need to deal with this. Because you see, if every time your partner says something, you jump to correct, it just might be that they're having a bad day. And something came out, something was done, they're under stress, excuse me. And so they said or they did something, and you jump in to correct. And they say, well, oh gosh, well, you just not having a good day today, so give me a little break. And then now you start to feel funny because you go on an attack when it was too soon. So you have to decide if it is a decision of the couple that we're going to talk about it once it happened right away. That's a decision both of you make. You live with that. If you decide no, we're not gonna do it as soon as we see it. We're gonna look first to see if a pattern is developing. If it is a way that you have that is bad, then I will say, okay, I saw this a few times and I realized that there is a problem here. I'm bringing it to your attention. I think it's something you need to work on. All right. So that's a decision that really should be made early in relationships so that things wouldn't spiral out of hand and attacks taking place and words flying back and forth. All right. So let's go now to settings that you'll find yourself in, formal, informal settings. As a couple, whether you are seeing somebody, starting off a relationship, engaged, married, you will find yourself in formal settings at times. A wedding, some kind of conference where a certain type of behavior is required. some meeting, something, high level talks and meetings going on or whatever it is. A formal setting. Protocol requires that you sit with your partner or you stay with your partner. The protocol of formal meetings require you to do that until it is okay to split up. So the formal part of the thing, you sit with your partner. Then they may say, okay, we can take a little 15 minutes break. You don't have to necessarily stay with your partner at that point in time because one is going to the washroom, you're going to the table to have refreshments and so on. While you may go together, while you are there, some friend may see you. Hi, how are you doing? So long. So you talk to that person, your husband talk to his friend or whatever. That is okay in that sense. But once that is finished and you go back to your seat, you step back into that formal setting again. So you have to know how to deal with formal arrangements and informal arrangements. Why is this insider here? Because that creates a lot of fireworks in conversation when you go home. Because it's like, you're in a formal setting and your partner leave you and gone all over the place wherever they gone and leave you sitting down by yourself. It is very, very uncomfortable to be in a formal setting and your partner is gone all over doing whatever and leave you sit down alone. Everybody had a husband and a wife and whoever around them and you sitting down by yourself and your husband gone so he meet some boys and he gone. That will create fireworks when you go home. All right, and you could well imagine how that conversation would go. So you want to establish protocol. We are in a formal setting. I will sit or we will sit together. When it is free to mingle, you mingle. When we come back into whatever the meeting is about, you go back and you sit down with you. You can't be wanting to go and sit down on somebody else's table because of my friends across there. No. That is not formal. You don't do that. Informal settings, splitting up and mingling is okay. But I would recommend that you check in on one another from time to time. It's an informal setting. So, you one gone with this group here, next one down, and you moving around the floor, everybody, mingling, meeting different ones. That is okay in an informal setting. But from time to time, you need to find your partner and say, everything is all right. You had dessert, you had this, you had that, you want something to drink. Find out how they're going. Both persons serving each other here, not the man going and finding out that from his wife or his fiance or whatever, but she doing the same for him. So both parties looking out for each other. Okay, you're good? Nice. And you're going again. That's an informal setting. Again, if that is handled badly, fireworks are going to start. So you want to make sure you understand these things if you want to have good communication among yourselves. You want to be careful not to overpraise someone of the opposite sex in the presence of your partner. I use that term overpraise in the presence of your partner. So you may see a woman who is well dressed, well put away, good hairstyle, everything looking nice, and you going down on her, oh my God, girl, you're looking like $1 million and that. I love your outfit and I love this and I love that. Long I ain't see somebody, oh my God, and you going on and going on, your wife's not there. That is not good. That is not good. It is okay to commend, but once you go the way of what I call overpraise, you're looking for fireworks. Because it is almost as though you are measuring up that person with your partner and saying to them that you look the best inside of this gathering. Just simply commend and leave it there. Don't go on and on and on and on and on and on. And on. That is heading in a bad place. All right. So that is a good pattern for good communication. And let me just close this by saying, what are some things to avoid? You want to avoid arguments and harsh words. People, believe it or not, you do not have to argue. Arguing is a decision that you make. You don't have to. But I realize that arguing comes out of a desire to make your point, prove your point, and keep to your point, with no thought of listening, hearing, and understanding what the other person is saying. You want your point to carry. And so you're not letting go. But the thing about arguments is that arguments, it's like something, a snowball. It's like a snowball effect. The more you argue, it's the bigger it becomes, and the more things you include inside of there. And it will end, in most cases, personal. And it could have been avoided. I'm not saying that you and your partner will not disagree. Disagreement and arguing, in my mind, I don't know how you may see argument, but disagreeing is okay. And to make your point, and sometimes firmly, that I don't believe what you are saying to be the way that it should be done. And you're good, you made your point. So making your point and being firm about it is okay. Everybody won't see things the same way. Everybody would have an opinion, and we ought to respect that. But to argue and to carry on and lift your voice and start to say things and call them names and tell them about the family and all that stuff, that you don't need that. All right, so arguments and harsh words. Don't use harsh expressions against your partner and call them names and so on, which are demeaning. That is not healthy for the relationship. You got to resist that. The thought comes, say no, I will not say that. So arguments and harsh words, you need to avoid. Don't condemn your partner for their failings or shortcomings. Never do that. Everybody has their area that they're working on, their shortcomings, their failures. Don't condemn them for that. As a matter of fact, encourage them when they fall short and say, okay, well, don't beat up on yourself. You didn't do it good this time, but next time. And encourage, don't condemn. Don't compare your partner with other persons. Don't ever do that. But look what he does for his wife, and look what he does for her husband. Don't do that. Every person is at their own place. Everybody's moving at their own speed or time, and so people develop faster. People build certain values in their lives faster, and all of that. So you want to be very careful that you don't go about comparing your partner with other people. Look how that one dressed today. I think you should dress so too. And look what this one had. Look at the phone that one had, and you should have one like that. And don't do that. Don't do that. Ever, never. Never speak or act as though your partner was a wrong choice in your life. Some people do that at times, and they sound as though they tell the person, as a matter of fact, that they made a mistake marrying them or engaging them. No. You see, you will be eroding self-worth when you do things like this. You don't want to go there. things may be bad, things may be hard, but you don't tell the person that you made a wrong choice. I mean, that person will tell themselves, my God, the whole, every bit of self-esteem and built in them gonna fall right away and crash. So you don't want to say things like that. Things are just tough in a relationship, and any situation can be fixed. God could fix anything. If we say no, it can't be fixed, then we are telling God that, Father, this one, you're not able to handle this one. He's God. He's able. Many times we don't want to get it fixed. We prefer to leave it just so, just as it is. All right. Don't join with other persons to speak ill of your partner. If people are speaking, and this happens a lot sometimes in families, where let's say your sisters and family, your mother and brothers don't particularly like your husband or so. And he does something, he said something, and they gone down attacking him, and yeah, that is how he is, and the whole family like that, and they going at him, and you join in too. So all of you all attacking your husband? No. When you made that decision to marry, was to have and to hold from this day forward. You got to hold to that man. You don't join with the bandwagon to beat up on him and to condemn him. You got to hold to him. Don't embarrass your spouse privately or publicly. Well, that goes without saying, right? Be careful how you speak. Don't speak down to your partner. Listen to what they're saying. Don't silence them. Some people speak over their partner. The partner is going to make a point. They raise their voice and speak over them and silence them. That is disrespect. And so you want to allow people to speak and express themselves rather than you claiming all the space in the conversation. Don't lie or fabricate stories to your partner. If your partner is wrong, they're wrong. People are asking about certain things, they're wrong. You say, listen, he said it. Was the right thing to say, but he said it. Be truthful. Don't join and lie for your partner. At the same time, you don't need to beat up on them in the thing that they have done, they did wrong. Do not discuss sensitive issues in front of your children. There are certain things that you never talk in front of your children because you are shaping their minds in a certain way if you do that. So be careful with that. Manage your conversation properly in front of your children. Okay, so that's the answer to the question, how important is healthy communication? Well, we saw that, all the various things that it does and builds and helps, strengthens you and positions you well and so on inside of healthy conversation. And we looked at good communication. We need to listen. You need to take mental notes of things you want to talk about. You want to openly praise. You want to talk about things even though they're insignificant. You want to share your likes, dislikes, and so on and so on and so on. And so what to avoid: arguments, harsh words, speaking over people, joining with persons to speak ill of your partner and stuff. So that's the response to that question that was asked, and I hope that the person who asked it got the answers that they need. And those of you listening on otherwise, that you got some kind of understanding of how you need to conduct conversing with other people. I'm going to move straight on to the next question. This one is a little deeper, but we're going to deal with it still. If after a lot of unfaithfulness, lies, stress, and a total lack of ambition, the love you once had for your spouse no longer exists, neither is there respect for them, is it okay to just live together but without physical or sexual contact? This is the question. So we are looking at unfaithfulness, lies, stress to the person receiving it, total lack of ambition in the person not moving forward. The love you had for them no longer exists because of that. Neither is there respect for them. Is it okay to just live together but without physical or sexual contact? Now, I want to use the book of Jeremiah, the scripture, to answer that question. Jeremiah 3, I'm going to walk through that and trust that the answer comes out of that chapter. Jeremiah 3:1 says, the people ask this question: if a man divorces his wife and she goes and marries another man, is he permitted to marry her again? Would not that land be greatly polluted? That is found really in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1-4. He said, but you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return to me, said the Lord. Now, I'm using this. It may seem disconnected, but it's very much connected, because this is telling us about how God responds to people who was unfaithful to him. This is what this chapter is about. He's talking about the people who were unfaithful to him, what they did, and how he responded. And if we are servants of God, then we ought to seek to respond just as he responds. The Bible tells us, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Or rather, do what he does. Have his heart, have his mind. So the people ask the question, if a man divorces his wife, she goes and she marries another, is he permitted to marry her again? So relationship bad, and so they are divorced. Is he permitted to marry her again? She went with another person, got married. Just really cause a dissolving of that first marriage. And now he wants to marry her again. But you have played the harlot, God says, with many lovers. That's what you did. And now you're returning to me. Look how God deals with a situation that has unfaithfulness and lies and lack of ambition and all that was included in the question. So what this verse is telling us is Israel committed spiritual adultery against God. Israel committed adultery, unfaithfulness. The Lord disallowed someone who was divorced from their first husband and married to another to return and remarry her first husband. The Lord disallowed that. You are not supposed to go back and marry your first husband once you divorce him. Verse 5. Will he remain angry forever? This is God. Will God remain angry forever with his wife or the person who he divorced? Will he remain angry forever? Will he keep it to the end? You have said and done evil things. This relationship reached bad. Evil things were said and done. And yet the Bible is God. The question is being asked, will he remain angry forever? So yes, there is anger. There is pain when your husband didn't do the right thing and he lied and he treated you badly and he was unfaithful. There is hate sometimes in the heart of the person who was lied to and who was the innocent one in the relationship. And you are angry, but God gets angry too when his people turn from him. But he asks the question, am I going to stay angry? Am I going to be like that all the rest of my life? God does not hold anger forever, despite the evil that his people commit. Now, you see, we have to deal with our spouse. And this particularly has to do with marriage here, right? This is not engagement and and just, I like this boy, he likes me. It deals with people who are married. And so people hurt you. And the first thing is, get that person out of my life. They damage me. I don't want to see them. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Well, think about how God deals with us. What have you done to God? Many things. The list is long. And sometimes some bad things we did to God too. And then the Bible says, God says, I ain't going to be vexed with you forever. I'm going to be vexed with you for a moment, but not forever. The Lord, verse 6, also said to me, have you seen what Israel has done? She has gone up on every high mountain, every green tree, and she played the harlot. God is exposing her sins. She was unfaithful. She committed adultery numerous times. As God say, on high hill, under every green tree. I mean, Israel is just gone clean. This is not a slip. This is not, when things happen and we end up there. This is a lifestyle. And God is talking about it. Verse 7, and I said, after she had done all these things, now I'm using the word, right? I don't want to just give you what I believe. I always want to be safe. The word of God is my guide and is our guide. And I said, after she had done all these things, return to me. This is God talking. And God is saying to an unfaithful, lying wife, an unfaithful, lying wife, come back. Come back to me. Now, I want you to see this, and this is going to talk more into this when we're talking about divorce and remarriage. God is establishing something here that the law said don't do. The law said, do not go back to your former husband. God is saying, I, as the former husband, whom you left and went and played the harlot, I'm saying to you, come back to me. What I have found out with God is that the law is the guide, but there is a law above the law of Moses. That is why Jesus said to the Pharisees and you are tithing of mint and cumin and anise and so on. But there are things that you are neglecting that are greater than what the law said to do. Faith and mercy and things like these, things of value and so on. He says you neglected that. David, the men are hungry, goes into the temple, takes the bread and eat the bread. The law said don't. He did it and he was justified in doing it. And so now God's law said, if you divorce a woman and she goes and married to another man and she comes back to you after, you cannot remarry her. That was the law, Deuteronomy 24. God himself now is saying, I divorced you after you went and played the harlot, but after you had done all these things, return to me. We're going to build that out a little more when we reach the divorce and remarriage. But she did not return. Then, for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I divorced her, God said. She went out, she did her stuff. I had grounds for divorce. I divorced her and gave her a certificate of divorce. So he is calling upon somebody who left him and did this evil to come back. What does that say to the question on the table? There must be a heart to forgive. and a willingness to embrace. Is it difficult? Sure it is. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Listen, I am not telling you this is a walk in the park. This is hard. This is hard. But God says this is what I am saying concerning Israel. Verse 10, and yet for all this, her disloyal sister Judah did not turn to me with her whole heart, but in pretense. Now, just to make this clear, Israel as the whole nation was divided up. There's 12 tribes. 10 tribes were to the north, which was referred to as Israel, and 2 tribes were to the south, which were referred to as Judah. Israel was taken into captivity before Judah. And so when Jeremiah was speaking here, Israel had already gone into captivity, and Judah was just at the brink of going into captivity. And God said, for all this loyal sister Judah, all that I said, all that I said to Israel about coming to me, did not turn to me. Judah did not turn to me with her whole heart, but in pretense. Again, what is significant inside of there? If someone comes back to you after being disloyal, after breaking all the rules, and they are truthful, God says Judah's heart, she did not come back with her whole heart. She was pretending. It wasn't genuine. So there has to be that kind of genuine cry within the heart of the person, a repentant heart. This is what God was looking for, and this is what God did not see. Verse 12, go and declare these words towards Israel, return. Return. God is calling on that unfaithful life. Return. I will not be angry with you, for I am merciful. I will not remain angry forever, in verse 12. This is God willing to go the distance. Verse 13, acknowledge your wrongdoing, for you have sinned against the Lord. There must be that inside of it. I am not saying just grab somebody, grab your partner and bring them back in your arms. There must be a sense of acknowledging, I did wrong. They must say that. Their heart must be in it. If we have to follow God, I cannot tell you anything else. What else can I say to you? I cannot be logical about it. Oh, he bad and he beat me and he this and he that. I can't be logical again about it. I have to tell you what the word of God says. And so I know it's going to be hard, but that is what God says. He said in verse 14, return, O backsliding children, for I am married to you. I am married to you. I will take you and I will bring you home by me. I'll bring you back home. I'll bring you to Zion. This is what. So he's willing to receive his wife. He was not ashamed to bring her back to his house. So key things to consider inside of there. There must be admittance of wrong. There must be a willingness to fix the nature of the relationship. When he said return, that's an attempt to fix it. There must be repentance. Mercy must be extended. And that couple, therefore, should be willing to reunite and stay together with each other. I don't believe love dies. This is my belief now. I believe love could be stifled. I believe love could go very, 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 very cold and dormant. But I don't believe love dies. Love is a strange thing. It lingers in your heart. The people who you may have been, I say, in love with when you were 6, 7 years, and you saw them after 15, 16 years and your heart jump. Little boy, little girl, and your heart jump. You haven't seen them in years. It's there. It don't go. It becomes dormant, but it's not dead. And so you feel that it's gone because you have dismissed it. But your heart is still tender towards the person in some form or fashion. You force yourself to dislike them. But if you hear something bad happens and so on, don't tell me your heart wouldn't be touched in some way. So it could happen, but it's what the individual